Hi, I'm Ken Howard, and welcome to the Gay Therapy LA podcast. Today, I'd like to talk about gay men and mixing your boyfriend with your friends. So, as a gay men's specialist, psychotherapist, and coach for over 30 years now, with doing life, career, relationship, executive coaching, and psychotherapy for just about anything, I'm a psychiatric social worker, clinical social worker, and an AASECT, American Association of Sex Educators, Counselors, and Therapists certified sex therapist. I hear about a lot of situations that gay men face in the course of a week of doing client sessions in my full-time practice. I work with mostly guys in Los Angeles or West Hollywood, where I live, in California, but also all over the U.S. and even all over the world. And one topic that repeats occurred again just last week when one of my clients wanted to work on how to navigate having a relationship with a new boyfriend while maintaining his old friendships. Sometimes it's easy, but sometimes it takes some work. So let's talk about my client. We'll change his name. Let's call him Pete. So Pete described how he's dating Tomas. But the first time Pete brought Tomas to an event with Pete's friends, it only went okay. Later, Tomas told Pete that one of his friends was being rude to him behind Pete's back. And later, another one of Pete's friends told Pete that, he could do better. So Pete reports to me that he's being torn by trying to make his whole system of people in his life harmonize. So we'll do some work on that. But here are some of my thoughts on this. Number one is jealousy. When someone in a friend group starts dating someone, it can feel like a betrayal of the tribe. This happened to another client named Ben really badly a while ago. So Ben was in this single gang, and when one of them, Ben, finally got a boyfriend, it upset the dynamic his posse was used to. They couldn't just hang out as the single guys on the make anymore. Their schedule changed when Ben had to build in time to see his boyfriend alone. And the particular alchemy of the friend group changed. It was like adding some odd new ingredient to a soup, like putting celery in tomato soup. And Ben sensed some good old-fashioned male competition and rivalry there. He won a prize that his friends didn't, and they were pissed that they didn't beat him to it when they had much more money and much more prestigious jobs. But Ben had the better physique. So they were comparing the currency involved in gay male dating. It really tested Ben's perspective of his friends that more so than being happy for him for getting the boyfriend, they were jealous of him, which taught Ben that maybe he needed better friends all along. Now, to cope with this, you might have to sit your friend or friends down and confront what you think you're seeing and ask for clarification. I don't know that you'll get a straight answer. You might get outright denial even if you know it's happening. But if you discuss it, at least it gives everyone a chance to clear the air, and you put your friends on notice about where your boundaries are. Number two is prejudice or racism. So with Pete, one has to wonder, since his posse was composed of several other white men, if there was some not-so-subtle racism going on, that Pete was dating a Latino in Tomas. Prejudices of any kind can be insidiously subtle, but if your friends disapprove of your new boyfriend, you have to run it through the filter of whether there might be some ugly bias going on with ethnicity, national origin, race, status of appearance, socioeconomic status, prestige of job, where he lives, what he drives, what his hobbies are. Not always, but it happens. And that shows a side to your friend that you might not have noticed. It's like the jealousy thing. That's also bad news about a friend you thought you knew. And that's another time to sit your friend down and confront, or at least discuss what you're seeing and why that's certainly a problem. It's kind of ironic when gay men are racist or sexist or ableist or ageist, etc., because we already are a minority group, and it's hypocritical. Social justice advocacy for gay men includes others in our LGBT plus community and all the other outgroups, all the other oppressed types of people in our world, in order to defend against what is called the tyranny of the majority. So number 3, protection. It can be awkward, but sometimes friends don't like your new boyfriend if they pick up on the fact that this new guy might not be treating you very well. In that case, it's not jealousy, it's a certain paternal fraternal dynamic that they want to protect someone they care about from possible harm, especially if they pick up on the very early signs of domestic violence. These might be things such as seeing your new boyfriend being controlling, criticizing, or even just teasing you in front of others, talking over you, ignoring you, perhaps flirting with others in that kind of that's too much way, or just generally invalidating you. So this might stand out to them when you might be distracted by your new boyfriend's sexy looks or superficial charm, or worse, being so giddy about finding a new boyfriend, maybe for the first time in a long time, that you're ignoring red flags that others see right off. I was working with a guy on this recently where he kept giving examples about recent interactions with his new boyfriend, and I think even on Zoom he could see the color drain from my face, because it was just example after example of how this guy was really not respecting my client. So I get a little, paternal in my affection for my clients, and I really had to kind of help him to see that not every boyfriend treats their boyfriend in the way that his was treating him, that there really were some red flags. It's still his decision about what to do, but maybe part of therapy and coaching can be just looking at any picture and say, let's really look at this objectively. Let's really look at the pros and cons of sustaining this. So number 4, their personality. Another client was very shy and had a really outgoing, opinionated, extroverted best friend. It was like yin and yang when they hung out together. But then he got a boyfriend who was also outgoing and opinionated and extroverted. And when the best friend and the boyfriend met, they clashed hard, leaving the shy guy in the middle. Our personal support systems are like a stew that we mix in the people around us. Some of us can be friends with people in our personal chemistry, but not all of our friends will mix well with the other friends we have, unless we're bound together in some kind of a common interest or some kind of esprit de corps. Number 5 is looking at interests. For many guys, different people serve different purposes. We might want to go out dancing with one friend or set of friends, but they aren't the same friends we might travel with or go to the theater with. We might play a sport with one group of friends, but our other friends don't like or play that sport. We are allowed to have different friends to meet different needs, where we are the common denominator, and we have to allocate our free time in some kind of relative priority to each friend or friend group. And in this way, we're cultivating an interpersonal support system that really works for us. Number 6 is when we're referee. We have to be the referee sometimes between our boyfriend and partner and our friends. We have to ask of our boyfriends that relationships with a certain friend or friends are still important to us, and we need to at least devote some of our discretionary non-work time to them, even if our boyfriend doesn't see the same value in them. Similarly, we sometimes have to ask our friends to respect our choices, and while they can express a concern if they feel that some guy is exploiting us, maybe financially or in some kind of power dynamic, or possibly is being dishonest in a way that they know but we don't, gee, that's an awkward situation, we still have the ultimate prerogative on whether to continue that relationship. It's not unlike meddling parents who criticize our choice of partner. Number 7 is exes. The abundance of life can include various friends and a boyfriend who may or may not like those friends. But the entire mix is what's important to us, and we have to respect that in our boyfriends too. So if we want to be platonic friends with someone who is at one time is an ex-boyfriend, somebody at one time we dated, Or if your boyfriend wants to be friends with an ex of his, it takes discussion that everyone knows where the boundaries are. We all deserve to feel safe from being threatened, but we also have to respect that our partners will understand if being friends with an ex is not truly threatening to the current relationship. Straight women, in particular, have been known to be especially sensitive about this perceived abandonment risk, to the point where they almost take pride in how much they forbid their boyfriend or their husband to be platonic friends with a female ex, or any other female that they perceive as threatening. This is kind of an old-fashioned misandrist way of thinking that, if straight men are just merely around other women, they can't be trusted to keep a monogamy agreement. I've always found that a little sad, and it's quite unjust. And gay men usually give more latitude on this. I've worked with guys who've had to learn to evaluate and assess and manage their jealousy of their partner's current platonic relationship to exes, or even very, very close friends. They're sensing a platonic intimacy between those two. We always have to work through our insecurities and our sense of threat. It's always a balance between how much we have to deal with our own insecurities, versus how much we're asking our partner to change a behavior. It's a real negotiation. If we boss our boyfriend around because of our insecurities, it can create resentment in him. But at the same time, we can't be miserable in our own relationship, and we have to talk about what is bothering us to our boyfriend or partner. Sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire, and there are lingering feelings in your boyfriend or partner for an ex. And I found that it's usually our own abandonment anxiety that has its roots in childhood. The abandonment depression, being sad about being ignored or left out, or the abandonment rage, how dare you leave me out of this? Both of those have roots usually in our childhood about how our caregivers, oftentimes our mothers, but it can be someone else, treated us. So talking it out can clarify what it is, and it really helps to build trust. Number 8 is politics or culture. We might have friends in different contexts, such as the people we grew up with in the culture of our family of origin, or the region or place we're from, that clash with our current partner. So these might be political differences, relative social values, tastes, and recreational interests. In these situations, you might need to negotiate with your partner about spending time separately with them. You might go out of town to attend a class reunion alone, since a partner might be bored seeing you and your friends, share the inside jokes that he just wouldn't get. Or you might have lunch with a college friend in town for the same field that you work in, and you're talking shop, or you're discussing old colleagues or old jobs. The purpose of platonic friendships can diversify what you need your interpersonal relationships to be. While we hear a lot about a partner or a spouse being our best friend, and they can be, we also need to diversify the interpersonal relationships in our lives that fulfill different needs. I see this most importantly about a field of work thing, and also a certain specific interests, like playing a sport or being an enthusiast in something that your partner isn't into, like video games or comic fairs or whatever. Number 9 is friends with benefits. So I've done extensive work lately with guys who have a partner but are in a consensual non-monogamous or open relationship, which I have a special year-long training program certification in. In some gay male relationships, a guy can navigate between the needs that his primary partner or spouse fulfills versus what his fuck buddy or paramour fulfills. So in true polyamory, all 3 or 4, if your partner has one too, men can have a relationship to each other. While in some other relationships, you are the common denominator between your partner and your fuck buddy, but your fuck buddy and your partner are not necessarily connected between the two. It's like a line instead of a triangle. So the nature of the relationship between your partner and your fuck buddy might be just a certain casual familiarity. Oh yeah, him. They might see them at a distance or briefly or at the same parties, but they aren't really close. In relationships like these, I think it takes a lot of discussion about expectations and boundaries, and a discussion of what any paramour relationship means for each of you, and why it's important, and why it's not threatening to your primary relationship, but actually enhances it. Sometimes, it's a peer age thing, such as if your partner is older and your paramour is your peer in age. I've seen this a lot in age difference relationships, which there's an episode on. Sometimes this is a function of a serious long-term but still long-distance relationship where you have a partner who's for the long term, but for some reason they're far away. And then you have a local paramour or fuck buddy where it's very friendly, but it's not necessarily long-term or domestic. You might not live with them. Maybe it's around a specific sexual interest. So if your partner is more vanilla and your paramour shares a kink interest you have, that might be the structure that you need. And you talk about why that's functional. So it's important to discuss why, or for both or either of you, having a secondary relationship has a function or a purpose that leads to additional fulfillment. And that would be kind of, friend plus, friend with benefits, or fuck buddy or paramour. In the other situations, we're really talking about platonic friends, your buddies, your posse, that probably predate the relationship by quite a bit. Let's talk about family of origin. So, in addition to navigating the relationship that we have with our partner versus our friends, we also have this with members of our family of origin. I really believe that gay male relationships are stabilized by a certain blending of your two family of origins. So not to feel like your male partner is some dirty little secret that you hide from parents or others. It might be awkward culturally to be out to your parents and siblings and extended family, but I've seen how doing this stabilizes your own primary relationship with your partner, and it can make you feel less sequestered in the gay aspects of your life, or being gay in your own life, let's say. So usually parents who are very wary of you having any male partner, or more specifically the one you have, they'll warm up over time. Time and again, I've seen parents who are very leery of gay relationships will eventually see your partner as a member of the family. And if they don't, you need to set boundaries with them in negotiating the adult child to adult parent relationship, if you're even to have one. Sometimes they might not outright like your partner, but they do need to respect your choice of partner and recognize that he is your partner and not just your friend, which is a subtle form of homophobia. Straight people have romantic domestic relationships as such, but gay relationships are somehow lesser or just friends or even buddies or roommates, which is kind of a separate and not equal kind of thinking. So with national recognition of marriage equality, I think this has gotten a lot better. A lot of straight people kind of get it now with marriage equality, and they really kind of see a spouse as a spouse as a spouse. And research in the United States nationally bears this out. Acceptance of marriage equality, and I think by extension gay relationships in general, has really accelerated lately, which may be one of the reasons why we see this anti-drag, anti-trans backlash, because conservatives are saying, okay, that's too much too fast. But the rest of us say it's acceptance and not soon enough. But, people don't necessarily wince or question the use of the word husband being said by a male anymore. And I've noticed this myself in recent years, like scheduling a repair person to come to our home, or with a bank professional or professional relationship, that more and more straight people, including formerly generally homophobic ones, recognize that your husband is your husband or your partner. Increasingly, thankfully, gay relationships are just kind of taken in stride, especially around younger people. But I've seen it in much older people, and that's a nice movement towards equality and social justice, even if we still have viciously aggressive bigots out to undermine all that. But I think if you're visible and you bring your partner to family events, or you bring your partner to the annual work holiday party, then it's a way of kind of coming out, and it also often ironically gives them something relatable. If you and your partner are a couple and you're talking at the company Christmas party to a coworker who brought his wife, let's say, or a husband, there's kind of okay, it's namaste. The couple in us honors the couple in you. And I'm seeing that as a phenomenon, which is a nice social movement. We have plenty of social problems about LGBT rights, but I am seeing people accept same-sex spouses much more in stride. It's about time, right? Let's talk about you as the center of the hub. I think it helps to think of yourself as the center of a social support system that puts you like the hub of a wheel. The common denominator is you, and you're navigating the different relationships to you that meet your various needs, and sometimes the crisscross of one person in your life to another. When they hit it off, it's great. That means they like you and each other. But if they clash, you might have to make it clear that while you can't demand that everyone in your life likes each of all the others in your life, they do have to act in a mature and polite and respectful way, and sharing the roles being in your life and you in theirs. It's like the rings of the Olympic symbol that overlap with each other. So if this has touched on some ideas, topics, situations, dynamics that you're identifying with, that you want some help with in your specific situation, let me know. Consider therapy for guys in California, or life, career, or relationship coaching for guys in other places. There are some very important legal and ethical differences between those kinds of professional services that I can explain when we talk. You can email me, Ken, at gaytherapyla.com. Remember that gaytherapyla.com is my website, and if you go to gaytherapyla.com/blog, you can search in the search box on different kinds of keywords like jealousy or career stuff or finances, and a bunch of blog articles in that library will come up for you to read. And you can also call or text me. Texting is always fastest and usually easiest in the course of a busy week. So that number is 310-339-5778. So 310-339-5778. I hope the spokes of the wheel turn round and round well for you, so that you feel like your support system of your family of origin, your friends, and your partner are all supporting you on the journey of life. Thanks. I'll see you next time.